do the fans give a shit? I mean, really, think about it. Do the gamblers care? Does the regular fan care? The average fan? Do they care that the NFL is in bed with casinos and gamblers? I sometimes think the answer there is no.
Well, in my general experience, I would 100% agree. I think fans don't care because fans, especially in the states where betting has now become legal, that's a big part of their weekend or week or hour. I mean,
Their
it's a
lives.
big, yeah, it's a big part of sports now. So I tend to think, and I'm going to generalize here, but the average fan probably agrees more with the report that you just showed by saying, "Hey, look, what's the big deal? Like these teams are making billions. They're already in bed. Like it's very hypocritical of them to punish their players." I do think that fans they want to believe that the game is being played properly. So there is that consideration of, oh, well, wait a minute, what if that messed up the score of the game, or what if that took the over under
What if it
and made it
changed it?
over
And
instead of
and and we now have,
yeah,
look, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest reason why we go back. And again, here we're talking real ancient history, the 1919 Black Sox scandal, where it
right.
was these are players who got together and decided they were going to change the game in order to make money. And they did, which is why it then started a lot of the punishment, the banishments, the shoeless Joe Jackson issue goes on and on. Granted, that's over 100 years ago. But we're still at that point, Doug. If you're going to take gambling in and you're going to be partners with them, then in my mind, you got to tighten the screws as hard as possible on every single player. And I'll get to the players again in a moment here, but you can't stop the train. So you've got
Right.
to be able to figure it out and make people understand that you're not a place where basically the game can be changed on the field because somebody's got a push bet.
I think the biggest problem and the biggest challenge that the NFL has is that they can be as harsh as they want to be. And I think in reality, that's the only way that you're going to curb this long term is that guys have to fear for their life that if they make one single bet, they're done, or that they will miss not maybe 6 games, but a season. I think it's got to be so harsh that guys don't. I mean, what bet can you make as a player that could cover that much loss of salary? You have to make it to where it's a no brainer not to do it. The trouble is, though, and what I kind of started to allude to, is that it's really easy to not track anything back to you. I mean, everybody has a cousin with a phone, everybody has 5 friends with a phone. So if you want to go out and make a $25,000 prop bet on you, I mean, have a bunch of random people that you know do it on their bets, Venmo them later. I mean,
Well, yeah,
could
but
it be
that, and
tracked by
again,
the likes?
but
But
what you're opening up
that's
is
the
the
problem.
next door here. What you're opening up is sort of like the next door here because this comes to this comes to the second part of the rant on this. There are no stupider players in the history of professional sport than these idiot knuckleheads in the NFL who are busted because they are placing bets. Give it to a
Yeah, it's
friend of yours. Here's my phone. Go place my bets. Go do it from home 25 miles away. These guys are doing it on the premises when they're told not to. And now it becomes the excuse factor. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know the NFL's not doing a good job telling me of what goes on here. Bullshit.
oh right.
The NFL goes to huge lengths, as does every sport, in educating these knuckleheads about what to do and what not to do. They just don't care. They just it's just floating right by them. I don't care. Come on, you guys. This is not going to be a big deal because they all think they can get away with it. End of story.
I mean, it's like the old Major League Baseball locker room. I mean, in every single locker room, there is a sign that says no betting. I
On the
know
door.
that you can't miss that if you're a Major League Baseball player. I'm positive, based on what the NFL, you and I have been around the NFL for a long time. They have umpteen seminars every offseason, every season. They've got experts that come in to talk about new rules. They've got referees that come in to monitor camp. They've got they do not miss the message. I mean, there's no way. And if
They've
you
got
do, you,
experts who come into NFL locker rooms and teach the players how to take a shit in public. I mean, come on. They teach them about their attitudes, what to do, how to deal with the press. Media training has gone on and on for years because the NFL has got a multi-billion-dollar organization here that they have to protect. And that's what they do. Let me then bring this down to the second bit from our Mensa candidate here, this reporter from The Athletic, Kaylin Kaler, who I don't think will ever be a guest on this show after this, and frankly, I'm okay with that. But here's the second part of this, where they talk about the players who are getting a pass. Now, this is even more laughable, where you listen to Kaler and the host of the CBS show basically go, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with them gambling. It's fine. Gambling's perfect. Oh, these guys need to get a break." Listen to this.
These are athletes. They're passionate about sports. It wouldn't be surprised if they would bet on another sport. What sort of response did you get from players about their habits and the policy?
Yeah, so when I asked players, I talked to 5 different players, gave them anonymity so they could be totally honest about what they did or didn't know about the policy and what their gambling habits were. And 4 out of the 5 of them did not know the details of the policy. They all knew, okay, we can't bet on the NFL. That's an obvious part of the policy, but they didn't know the parts about not gambling while you're at work, not gambling in the locker room at the team hotel while you're traveling. They didn't know that part of it. And the reality is that this new generation of players, the 22, 23-year-olds, these are the ones that are getting punished. Both Jameson and Stanley were rookies last season. They grew up in a world where these apps are readily available. They grew up in an NFL where the NFL has been partnered with sports gambling entities their entire career.
Right.
So this is so available and visible to them, and it's just part of their lives. Their friends are doing it. So I think that they weren't educated very well. And what I heard from the players, since they didn't know the details of the policy, is that they weren't really emphasizing this in previous years. Now the NFL is, they're going, team to team to make sure that players and staffers know this policy. But I think in the past, from what I heard from players, they did not feel like they really were emphasizing this policy. And it's easy for them when you sit down in a meeting with 3 hours of rules and compliance issues to sort of tune out the details.
Where do you want to start? I mean, Doug, I tell you what, I got a list here, but I'm going to let you go first.
Where I agree with her is that she is correct in that these guys grew up in this environment. But when I say grew up, we're talking about 3 years. 3 years is about all that, and it's really not even, it's more like 2.5 that gambling has been legalized in terms of apps and in states outside of Las Vegas. So I think I agree with her, but it's only been 2.5 years. So if you're a rookie, yeah, you probably got to see that when you're in college. But also when you're a rookie in the NFL, and again, you and I know this, there's been a thing forever called Rookie Symposium, where teams sit all the rookies down and they go through every possible bad scenario that a professional athlete can get themselves into and try to teach them how to get out of it.